The TWST devs have decided to grace us with a 4.5-year anniversary celebration, so most players' hopes and dreams for a calm July are dead. However, this event does provide an opportunity to pick up some great SSRs, gems, and a few other materials. So let's go over what we know, plus a little speculation, so you can begin to prepare accordingly. Now, as of this recording, I covered most of this information live on stream yesterday with the actual notices and VODs since they were still available, unlike today. So you should totally come hang out most Wednesdays and Fridays at 6:30 Eastern Time for the hottest goss. But if you couldn't make it or you were anxious about this event since it might be the first time you've ever encountered a half anniversary, I got you. Now, before we get into the specifics, I must also disclaim that while most of this information was announced at Anime Expo, the actual workings of the event are subject to change, so we won't know the exact details and functions until a full release notice for the event is made. Typically, in a case like this, I'd go to the Japanese wiki to find out what JP did, but they apparently didn't have a 4.5 anniversary, so we're flying blind. That said, Aniplex did drop timing, showcase contents, and gem bundle details publicly, so at least those details should be accurate and retained. Now, the last time we had an event of this type was all the way back in 2024 with the 2.5-year anniversary, which functioned essentially like a mini version of the full anniversary. As you can see in this official notice that I dredged up, it ran for about the same amount of time, had some nice little bonuses like 3 magical keys, and 130 gems plus other useful items during login. It also had gem bundles that you could purchase to get you items like awakening perfumes and star shards. It also had its own dedicated showcase, which had the dorm uniform cards that you could get tokens from. There was also a token shop where you could redeem said tokens. And there were some catch-up missions that got you even more rewards for clearing certain milestones in the main story, among a couple other things. Now, all in all, this event basically functioned like a mini version of the anniversary, a nice little condensed celebration where you had some time to pick up some additional cards, get a couple of materials, and all of that jazz. The 4.5 anniversary should function similarly during its run from July 21st to August 8th of 2026. There should be a login bonus, some freebies here and there, and perhaps a token shop. However, the biggest difference we have knowledge of so far is the showcase contents. This has impacted not only the gem bundles, but has caused a lot of questions and concerns about pity, if the key sets will function across groupings, and more. So let's talk about what we know for certain before getting into speculation. Now, like most events of this type, we have 3 gem bundles up for grabs: a bronze, a silver, and gold, each increasing in cost and reward. The first, the bronze bundle, can be purchased with either 200 free gems or 150 pay gems and will get you a celebratory magical key for an SR card of your choice, a 10-fold key set, which has the most confusing name possible because it is presumably for the anniversary showcases. However, it's titled the same as Overblot Malleus's keys, which is causing a lot of confusion. There should have been called the anniversary key sets. They could have been called the Consequence of Malevolence key set if they wanted to be fancy, since the dream cards are a consequence of Malleus. But no, we're naming them the exact same way for reasons only the Lord above and the mouse know. But I, for one, will be calling these the 4.5 10-folds throughout the rest of this video instead of their canon name, because that is what they are. The bundle is then rounded out with 5 lesson skip tickets, and that's it for your free gems. The next step up is the silver bundle, which can only be purchased with paid gems, the amount of which is 500. For your monetary sacrifice, you will get 1 mysterious magical key, which will get you 1 random SSR card. There is no confirmation of what pool of cards this key will allow you to pull from, either the normal dorm or the dream or something else entirely. So I speculate, given the past anniversaries, that this will be specifically for the dorm cards. However, there is no way for anyone other than the devs to know for sure at this point in time. You will also get 2 4.5 anniversary 10-folds for the dream cards, 5 bottles of star shards, and 25 lesson skip tickets. The final and most expensive bundle, coming in at 1,000 paid gems, is the gold bundle, which will get you 1 celebratory magical key, which will get you 1 SSR of your choice from that previously discussed mystery pool, 3 whole 4.5 anniversary tenfolds, 5 bottles of star shards, and 25 skip tickets. Now, for the actual showcases themselves, we have 4 rounds throughout the anniversary, with each round featuring different dream cards. From July 21st to the 25th, we have Ortho Cerberus Gear, General Lilia, and Sebek Evernight Armor. From the 26th to the 30th of July, we have Savannah Claw Rook, Sultanate Kaleem, and Merform Jade. From the 31st of July to the 4th of August, we have Mer Floyd, Ivory Cliff Ruggy, and Trick King Cater. Lastly, from August 5th to the 8th, we have Chef Trey and Dawn Armor Silver. So how are we going to pick up these boys? How are these showcases going to work? Are all the kiddos going to be available with just the rates changing by banner like in Glorious Masquerade? Or can you only get Lilia in Lilia's banner and Ortho in Ortho's with no hope of a random Savannah Claw Rook popping up before hitting pity? Well, we don't really know. But perhaps accidentally, perhaps intentionally, the TWST team released Evernight Sebek's banner details for the 4.5 anniversary yesterday in a random news notice, which has been since removed entirely from the website. You cannot even get to it by changing the ID code. It is gone. However, they also pushed this exact same notice live to the game, so I do have a screen recording of it that is much clearer than the stream. The mouse cannot possibly accuse me of leaks if they themselves published this information for an entire day to their official, actual news sites and application, right? Regardless, given how early these details were released and only for Sebek, they are speculation, as the notice details could change, and given that it was maybe leaked, maybe not leaked, it might change. So just take all of this with a grain of salt. According to that notice, though, this showcase should function just like any other normal limited time event showcase. Meaning, Evernight Armor Sebek is going to be the only limited time card that can be obtained from summoning on the Evernight Armor Sebek showcase. The notice makes a distinct point of this by outlining that none of the other dream cards will be present in the pool on Sebek's banner. It is just Sebek and the normal dorm SSRs. Therefore, Lilia and Ortho banners should act like this as well, with those respective cards being the only limited time cards available in their respective showcases. However, if you go down to the bottom of the notice, there is a lovely little note that states even though the Lord of Malevolence showcases, terrible name, below feature different cards, they share the same SSR gauge. Then listing Ortho, Lilia, and Sebek. What this means is that, for at least this grouping of cards, the pity should be shared even though the actual cards themselves are in different banners and are not shared between the banners. For example, let's say you want both Ortho and Sebek, but you can only summon for one at a time, since Ortho isn't available in Sebek's showcase and Sebek isn't available in Ortho's showcase. If you happen to get Ortho early at, say, 30 pity, when you go to Sebek's banner to now summon him, you will be starting at 30 pity, not 0. This should make it easier to pick up multiple cards in the same grouping, so if you want more than one of these cards, you shouldn't have to use quite as many resources to obtain them. The only problem that I can foresee is that the notice specifies these 3 specific cards in this footnote. So this pity sharing may only be between groupings and not all dream cards. So, for folks who want Jade and Floyd, their banners may not share pity since they are part of 2 separate groups. Therefore, you'd have to rebuild pity for Floyd after Jade and Co.'s showcases end. This would be sad, but it is quite possible with how the notice was written. However, as I have said quite a bit, all of this is speculation based on what was available. The pity may be shared between all of the cards. They may remove the pity sharing entirely. They may change it so that all the cards are present and only the rates are changed for the featured cards. I have no idea. All I can do is give my thoughts based on the info that we were given, even if that info was not meant for our eyes quite yet. But hopefully, you feel a little bit more prepared for the event now and at least have a better idea of what to expect. If this was helpful, let me know. And if you'd like me to do more updatey-esque content in the future, let me know that as well. I'm not sure how helpful this is going to end up being once we get the official confirmation of details. Regardless, before you go, I just have to remind you that you're amazing and I hope you have a wonderful day.